Did you hear the buzz last week? The internet was all abuzz with the wild tales of a Ugandan Minister of Labor who got surprise visit from his employee with a gun. What was the reason? Well, apparently the worker wasn't too thrilled about not receiving a hard-earned salary. Talk about a workplace dispute gone wild, isn't it? The story had everyone talking and clicking, trying to get the scoop of what really went down. But let's face it, this deceitful minister is just one barrel of shady bosses who are ripping off their hard-working staff. It's time to expose the swindlers and light up for a fight that is talking about fair wages. I had my share of being swindled or being cheated by an employer. From May 2012 to May 2013, I'm talking of a whole year, I worked with a private firm. I dedicated the whole year of my life to its objective and its purpose. My pay wasn't really that bad, it was manageable, and I gave my blood, my sweat, and my tears for a sum that eventually, when I had finished, when I was leaving, by the time I was leaving, I was actually being owed 35% of my annual wages. Sometime I was paid, sometime I was paid half, some very few times I was actually paid fully, and some months I wasn't paid at all. That's a raw deal, isn't it? Hi, my name is Anselm and I'm your career breakthrough psychic, your happiest HR. Today, we'll be taking some walk into the depressing and unchecked lane of the world of work, something that resonates with modern slavery. The story of people who are actually being cheated by employer, my story is just one of them. There are many stories of salary workers who have been cheated by their employers. Some have had their salaries withheld for months, while others have been paid much less than what they actually were being promised. So join us as we take this exciting journey in uncovering the sneaky tactics that is used by Nigerian employers to cheat hard-working salary earners. Be prepared to take note as well as we dish out some savvy tips on how to outsmart these devious scams and safeguard your earning. Don't be a victim, be a winner. Now, first, let's take a look at what is actually encouraging cheating salary earners. Somebody somewhere is actually encouraging them, and I will say that the first person encouraging is the government, and the government has failed to implement policies that will protect workers' rights and ensure that they are paid fair wages. If a minister of labor who is supposed to be protecting the workers' rights actually is not paying his own worker, what do you think will be happening? The government's role in cheating salary earners is evident in a number of ways. Firstly, the government has failed to implement policies that will protect workers' rights and ensure that they actually are getting what is due to them. Secondly, the government has allowed companies, organizations to get away with not paying workers their full wages, often using loopholes and legal jargons to do so. Finally, the government has done little to investigate and prosecute those who have cheated salary earners out of their hard-earned money. The second thing that is actually falling, or the ways that people are actually being cheated, is because workers are not even aware that they are being cheated, as their employers take advantage of their lack of knowledge about their right. If you don't know your right, you will not have a fight. Yep, that's true. Many of the employees do not know their basic right or the law, which is the perfect opportunity for their bosses to take advantage of them. This is why we see so many workers being exploited and mistreated. It's sad reality to even realize that even foreigners, like especially which is more rampant with Chinese employers within the country, taking advantage of the Nigerian, and that's not just within Nigeria, even within the other countries that they are, because most employees do not know their right, or they do not have a legal backing from the government. It's so sad reality, especially here in Nigeria, where unfair wages and working conditions are all too common. Can you believe that the national minimum wages only is still 30,000 naira? That's just $67 per month and a miserly 38 cents per hour. And to make matters worse, some people are even getting paid less, far less than that. It's time for us to stop accepting the norms and make change for a better. The third thing, how salary earners actually being cheated, or why they're actually being cheated, that the problem is poor recording keeping. The problem is compounded by the fact that many employers do not keep accurate records of employee salaries, and so it's often difficult for workers to prove that they are owed money. In order to safeguard yourself, ensure that you have a side record yourself. It's also ensure also that when the tax returns are being done, because most employers will provide a different figure of what you have earned over the years in order to be able to pay less taxes. And if that happens and the time comes for you to try to make a case, the records from the tax office will be showing far less than what you actually earn. So never accept any employers who actually pays less than what you've actually earned in terms of taxes. And the fourth thing that actually happened, I will say again, is that there's a collusion. There's a collusion between the powers that be and the judiciary system. It sounds like a secret spy thriller, isn't it? Yep, the Nigerian government has not been playing fair with salary earners. Back in 2002, the Nigerian Labour Congress, NLC, had enough and called for a nationwide strike over non-payment of salary. Can you imagine what the government did? They went full on crazy and started arresting people left, right, and center, while also declaring the strike illegal. And if you thought that that was bad enough, wait till you hear what the recent drama with the ASU, the Association of Staff Union of Nigerian. They went on strike for 8 solid months, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, only to be forced to return to work by the government without any proper arrangement for basic necessity like food. I mean, come on. Nigerian government, get your acts together and treat your people with some respect. The government has failed to address this problem adequately and has even been a complicit to it. It's time for you to stand up. I really hope that the next government will think about this. I also hope that African governments will also think about it. The next factor is a lack of regulation from the financial sector. For those in Nigeria who have actually been following what has been happening in 2008, the ex-pension boss, Mr. Abdurrashid Maina, was imprisoned for 8 years imprisonment. Why? Because he was laundering money. The government's role in the problem is clear. They have not been able to effectively regulate the financial sector. For someone to be laundering money, it is really bad. And that was in check. This has led to a situation where salary earners are actually being cheated by those who are supposed to be helping them save their money. I actually heard one sad one, that some of them will actually take salary earners' money and go and put in a fixed bond for a certain period of years. So while that money is maturing, people are actually being owed salary, with families suffering, with bills skyrocketing, with frustration taking place. And they are expected to go to work daily. How sad is that? I pray that the government come to its senses and urgently take steps to clean up the financial sectors and protect salary earners from being taken advantage of. Now let me talk of another part that I've actually had to suffer, where employers are actually baiting with false promises. Wow. Let me tell you a real situation with a private firm I talked about. I was promised the moon and the star by my employer, but in reality they were just leading me on with empty words. They had me believe that I'd be cruising around in a brand new ride in no time, but it turns out that it was just a load of baloney. I busted my sweat paws day in and day out, going above and beyond the call of duty, all for the sake of this supposed promise that was never come to pass. Sometime I will get paid and sometime I will not be paid. Sometime I'll be paid in fraction and what I was being owed. Can you believe the nerves of these people is enough to make your blood boil? The sweet thing is that sometimes I was also taking an emotional ride. At one point in time, I couldn't afford shoes myself, I couldn't afford rent. And when I asked for my salary, he gave me a pair of shoes. I'm grateful for that, but I felt, and later I used that to say, oh, but he has actually been supporting me, giving me a pair of shoes. That was an insult on my temper. But I could see him going around cruising from one spot to another, even planning for a vacation overseas for his own family, when I was struggling to actually meet the demands of my own family. But I pray for forgiveness for such employers. Salary earners are being cheated through false promises of promotions or bonuses. Promotions or bonuses are often used as incentive, but this is bad. This at the end can lead to a feeling of frustration and betrayal among employees. If you can't give it, don't promise it. The next point on how salary earners are actually being cheated is through ghost working. Did you know that Nigerian salary earners have been swindled in countless ways? I work with an IT firm where we had to do some data verifications and realized that one of the states in Nigeria, as at then, had a lot of ghost workers. These sneaky scammers get paid for jobs they never lift up their fingers to do, whether they are collecting pay for a position that doesn't exist or siphoning wages from a company or from the government itself, thereby leaving other people who are actually looking for work to do, who are capable of doing work and ready to work, not having the opportunity because the register is filled with people with names of people who actually don't exist. The next will be wage theft over unpaid time. Some workers are also cheated out of their salary by being required to work excessive hours without being paid overtime or extra time. This is known as wage theft. And it's a serious problem in Nigeria. Sometimes workers are not even paid at all. And this can happen when they have completed their tasks satisfactorily. Withholding wages and salaries come next. There are numbers of ways in which salary earners can be cheated. One common way is that employers are withholding wages or benefits that are owed employees. We have an urgent matter at hand that can't wait any longer. Workers in Nigerians are facing immense hardship, and it's time to put an end to that. The government needs to take some serious steps to make sure that all workers get their hard-earned salary on time and in full. And that's not all. We need to improve working conditions and protect the right of our hard-earned men and women who are working there. Let's work together to make Nigeria a better place for everyone before someone gets a bullet in the head. That Minister of Labor in Uganda. Not a hate speech. It's likely reality. Final one, how salary earners are actually being cheated is by avoiding inflation reality. Salary earners have been cheated through inflation. When the rates of inflation keep rising and wages are not keeping in line, that causes real living costs to increase. And so for people making salary, they will start not being able to afford basic necessities. Currently, the official inflation rate is 21%, but if you look at the real market figure, it's much more higher than that. Listen up, cheaters. Your sneaky tactics of taking money out of the pocket of hard-working salary earners and leaving them struggling to provide for their loved one is bad. This is one-way ticket to financial hardship and poverty. Let's put an end to these underhanded practices so that our dedicated workers can finally live the life they deserve. Now, before you go, for you who is a salary earner, let me now give you I've given some tips. I'm going to give you some more. The best way to avoid being cheated out of your salary, to be aware of your right and to know that you are entitled by law to certain rights. If you feel like you are not being treated fairly, find a way to speak up. If you can't afford the lawyer, I'll advise you, you can find some NGO that are helping, or some like Brekete Family, for example, which is actually has helped a lot of persons who have had some dispute even with the government over their wages. If you know your law and you ensure that your employer is complying with the law, you can help protect yourself and other workers from being cheated out of their hard-earned salaries. You should consider joining a union if your company or your sector does allow. In conclusion, there is a reality here that Nigeria is a land of promise. Yet despite the valiant effort to rev up the economy, our dear salary earners are still being cheated. They are getting the short end of the stick. With the cost of living skyrocketing and the wages at rock bottom, it is a wonder many of our countrymen are struggling to stay above the poverty line. And that has led to a lot of our workforce, potential workforce, traveling out abroad, overseas, japping, like we say. It's time, a very high time for our leaders to roll up their sleeve and tackle the issue at hand. Let's give our salary earners the boost they deserve and show the world the Nigerian spirit is made of. Once again, my name is Ansem and your career breakthrough psych. If you feel that the options that I've actually listed out, what I've talked about is worth listening and sharing, you can give it out to other person, you can share the video, and I am looking forward to meet again with you in subsequent video. Thank you so much and God bless you. Bye.